You have lupus. Three of the words I never thought I would hear, but I heard it in 2007. And I want to share my story with you all. Hey, girl, this is Michelle, and I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel called Stronger Than Lupus. I created this channel for my sisters out there who have been diagnosed with lupus, just as a way to encourage you and to keep you uplifted on this journey. I wanted to share a little bit about my story because I don't talk about it much now. I have had lupus since 2017, maybe even before then, but that was when I was first diagnosed. And my story begins with me being a very busy young lady. Back then, I was about 26, 27 years old, and I was doing a lot. I was going a lot. I was always busy. And I remember saying to myself and saying it out loud to a few other people that I just didn't have time to get sick. I was always doing things, very busy, didn't know how to slow down, didn't know how to take breaks. And eventually I realized I was getting tired a lot. I was very fatigued. I noticed that my fingertips would become white a lot of times when I was cold. That was before I knew anything about a syndrome called Raynaud's syndrome. But I just thought it was just something that my body did, my fingers did, without realizing my body was giving me symptoms and trying to tell me something. That was another thing. I would often have health issues, but I just pushed through. Didn't really go to the doctor. Didn't really pay a lot of attention to pain. Again, I just pressed through. It's just something you did. Didn't really slow down. And so one week, I noticed that my gums were bleeding, and I was staying with my mother at the time. And I mentioned it to her, and she said, "Well, maybe you will, brush your gums too hard." And I didn't think much of it because, again, I didn't get sick that often. But later on in the week, I noticed there were some small purple spots on my skin, and now I know they're called petechiae. Again, didn't pay too much attention to it, but the bleeding got worse. I then began to have nosebleeds, and I went to urgent care just to check it out, see what was going on. I remember that weekend I was supposed to be MC for one of my friends' weddings, and I went to the urgent care. My mom was there. They took my blood, and the doctor and whoever was with them came back, and I'll never forget the look on their faces. It looked as if they looked at me as if I was a ghost. And the doctor told my mom, he said, "Your daughter's platelets, she has 4,000 platelets. The normal range is 32,000. And I need you to take her to the hospital to get an infusion. Um, and I need you to drive safe. I need you to drive slowly because if you drive too fast and anything happens to her, she will bleed to death." And so I remember thinking to myself, I don't even know what a platelet is. What? So we went to the hospital, and they gave me a blood transfusion, not an infusion, it was a transfusion. And I thought I was okay. I thought I was fine. A few weeks later, the group I was a part of, we were planning to go overseas, and we had rehearsals leading up to the concert. And I remember standing in front of the group, and I could feel like my nose is bleeding again. And I leaned my head back, went to the restroom, and it was just blood. Um, and I drove myself to the emergency room from the rehearsal because I knew something was going on. That night, they took my blood and my platelets had dropped to 2,000. So I ended up in intensive care. And I'm like, what is going on with me? Like all of a sudden, all these things are going on. I don't understand. So I remember a few weeks after that, we met with a hematologist, and he asked my mother about family history. And I remember her mentioning a few cases of lupus in my family. And the doctor, I don't think he diagnosed me with lupus that day, but he diagnosed me with it's called ITP. Let me look it up real quick. ITP, it stands for immune thrombocytopenic purpura. Pretty much, it's an illness that can cause bruising, bleeding, um, and it really deals with the platelets. So that's what we thought I was dealing with. This particular condition causing my platelets to drop. And so um, I did a little research, asked questions, and I decided to have my spleen removed because they were saying that the spleen was they were telling me my immune system had become so overactive that it was attacking my spleen, and my spleen and was eating, pretty much eating up my platelets, causing me to have low platelets. So I said, well, if the spleen is a problem, let's just remove the spleen. Um, so I did end up removing my spleen, and I haven't had any problems with platelets since. Actually, when I get my blood tested now, my platelets are ridiculously high. It's just amazing how they've gone from 2,000 to this ridiculously high number. But anyway, that was my beginning journey with lupus, this condition called lupus. I never imagined I would be dealing with a chronic illness. I never thought that years later in 2024 I would still be dealing with it. It has been a humbling experience for me because it's caused me to realize how I really did take my health for granted. Right now, I am doing well. I do believe I have flares on and off. I just push through again. But I am more aware now of things, and I have slowed down a lot. I have gotten better at setting boundaries, and like today I'm in the bed after a pretty good week. I had a really good week. It was a productive week, and I even went out, took myself out last night, but I knew yesterday was such a long day that today I needed to give myself my body a chance just to rest and stay in. I've learned so much during this journey, and I've had ups and downs. Right now um, I'm dealing with things with my kidneys. It's called nephrotic syndrome, and my kidneys are fine. It's just that the lupus has attacked my kidneys. I've been dealing with this for years. I mean, probably more than 10 years, and so now I do get infusions every month, and I am the next time I go to the doctor, I'm going to talk to him just about like where we are in this process because I'm currently on a lot of medications, a lot. And when you look at me, I look like I'm just fine, everything's going well. But if you look at how much medicine I'm taking, you would be shocked. I'm probably not taking as much as a lot of other people who have lupus or have my condition. It's just a lot for me. And there are days when I don't want to take any meds. I don't want to swallow any pills. There are days when I don't understand why this is my lot in life. There are conversations that I've had, not recently, but I've had conversations, you know, with people. And I think you have to be very sensitive when you talk to people who are dealing with conditions like this. Um, you have to really use discernment because you don't want it to come off as if this person doesn't have as much faith as you because they're not quote unquote healed or anything like that. You have to be careful what you say to people and how you say it to people. And I haven't had those conversations lately. I think I have a better grip on how to respond now, but it is important to be sensitive to people who are dealing with illness or diagnoses. So, fast forward, I think I'm doing okay. Obviously, I still have issues going on because I'm taking meds, I'm getting the monthly infusion. I have other things going on as well. I still have, muscle pains. I still have fatigue. I still have these things. So I still have lupus. I'm not like, it's not gone away. It's still here. But I am doing the best I can in taking care of myself. I think I have a good team. I am thinking maybe in the next year, if I need to go another direction with the team of doctors I do have now. I've been with them for years and they've been able to like keep me stable. But I want to see if we're doing all we can do. I want to get off some of these meds. I really do. So we'll see what the next year brings. I really haven't thought much more about it, but we will see. So I just wanted to share my story with those of you who are listening because you have a story as well. There was a day when you walked into the doctor's office not knowing what was going on with you, and your life changed when you heard those words. You have lupus. At the same token, I wanted to encourage you and let you know you're not alone. You're not alone. I understand. Maybe not. I don't have your experience. I'm not walking in your shoes. I don't know exactly what you're going through. I do know how it feels when you've been given a diagnosis that has completely rocked your world. I know how it feels when people look at you and assume that you're okay and you're not. I know how it feels to have to take a bunch of medications or go to all these doctor's visits and you don't even know what they're talking about, to see blood work and to see numbers, and you're questioning why you're even going through this. I get it. I understand how it feels to have a chronic illness that people around you don't understand. Understand how it feels not to have energy to do the same things your friends are doing, or even having dreams that you'll never see realized because your condition won't allow you to do those things. I understand. And I hope to encourage you to keep living anyway. Keep fighting anyway. Like, don't give up on life because of lupus. Lupus is a part of our lives, but it doesn't have to be all of our lives. It doesn't have to take up our being, our existence. So I hope me sharing my story with you again lets you know you're not alone, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. How old were you when you were diagnosed with lupus? How old were you when you heard those words? And how are you doing now? And you can be honest with me. Yeah, so I'm going to end this podcast, I guess. I don't know. These are just like become podcasts. I'm just like sharing from my heart, and I'm not having to edit and put on clothes and lipstick and anything like that. This is just real, raw, authentic me. But I hope it helps someone. And if it helped you, leave me a comment. And if you're listening as someone who knows someone with lupus, please share with them. I'm hoping to reach as many people as I can and let them know that we are stronger than this diagnosis ever will be. All right, I'm sending y'all much love. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you next week.